Chris, good morning. Thanks for joining us from Atlanta. How are you?
You're welcome.
No, it's great to be with you guys. Doing well. Just getting ready to kick it off with Alabama and Mississippi State this morning.
Yeah, we got 2 more days of media days. What for you? What has been interesting or intriguing so far at SEC media days?
Yeah, well, it was Arch Mania yesterday, and knew that was coming. I think to me, it's the coaches that have been pretty outspoken, saying, "Hey, this is going to be our best team, our best roster." Hugh Freeze said it. He mentioned playoff in the same sentence with Auburn. Brian Kelly was adamant that this was his best team, his best roster, and was, did not back away at all on how important that Clemson game was for them. And rarely do you hear a coach put that kind of emphasis on one game, especially the opener. But when you look at their track record at openers the last few years, I guess I can understand it. And I think that we haven't talked to all the quarterbacks. We talked to Arch, we talked to Lenore Sellers. But the quarterbacks in this league, I think there are a lot of them, and not all the guys that are necessarily household names. Even a guy like Taylor Green, I think, have chances to have big seasons. And you got all different sorts, new faces like a John Mateer, Jackson Arnold starting over at Auburn. You got guys who are getting the keys to the offense for the first time, like an Arch Manning. And then you have a guy that are starting their second years in full under the same coordinator, which, Taylor would fit in with Bobby Petrino there at Arkansas.
Yeah. We're all intrigued, I think, to see what that's going to look like, for Arkansas. The schedule's tough every year in this league. Their schedule is, I don't know, you got Memphis on the road and Notre Dame at home to go along with, a bunch of top 25 teams you're going to play in the league. What are your thoughts? I know Arkansas is not in there today, but we'll just go there real quick. What are your thoughts on year 2 with Taylor? And I know Bobby and all that. What are your thoughts on Arkansas?
I think it'll be a lot better, but it's relative though. That you mentioned the schedule. Arkansas' schedule, I said, if you know the last 3 or 4 years, has been harder than anybody's in the leagues. If you combine all those years together, and some of it's just bad luck. When they had to put together the 2 schedules for last year and this year, throw them together. But I think they'll be a better football team. I think Taylor will be much more polished under Bobby. I certainly know Bobby thinks he will be. And, he's got a ton of ability. He's got to cut down on the turnovers. Got to play a little bit more within what they want him to play within. And, they got to protect him. That's the thing. He's good after. He's really good when things break down and extending the play. But, you can't try to do too much. My big concern with the Hogs, honestly, is when they get in, because you got Notre Dame early. You mentioned the trip to Memphis. You play at Tennessee. Their first game in October, and then you come home and play A&M. And Auburn in back-to-back weeks. And then you get in November. Where are they depth-wise? How many injuries do they have? Can they stay healthy? Do they wear down? Because you look at November. LSU, you're at Texas, and then you come home and play a Missouri team that I think probably is on the other end of the spectrum from Arkansas. I think Missouri probably has the easiest schedule in the conference.
Chris, it took about 10 minutes Monday for Nick Saban's shadow to appear again. Which SEC teams are going to coach next year? Let's just cut right to the chase here.
Nick's sort of like Bigfoot. I think going forward, everybody's going to see. Everybody sees Bigfoot every couple of years.
That's good.
Yeah. Every year, someone's going to have some inside source to say Nick's coming back to football. Listen, I've talked to him. That's not in his plan. He's, in fact, he's not going to be the one that makes that decision anyway. It'd be Miss Terry. And I can tell you what her decision would be on that. But no, but I get it. He's a guy. He'll be 74 in October, but he really is like 74 going on 64.
Mm-hmm.
And I get why his name's going to keep popping up, whether it's NFL or it's college. I don't see any way Nick goes to NFL, and he's not real enamored with the climate in college football right now. And I know here's the big thing is he really likes what he's doing. He really enjoys doing TV, and he's good at it. And I think that's probably the factor that people haven't talked about the most. He told me when I talked to him last, he said He's as happy as he's been in a while. He's getting to do things he never got to do for the last 50 years, trips and with his family. I get why his name gets floated out there. Is there a little piece of him inside because he's so competitive that you want that football fix again? I mean, all those guys are sort of wired the same way, yeah. But, he's not sitting around right now thinking about or entertaining offers about coming back and coaching football. I can promise you that.
Chris Lowe, ESPN, ESPN.com with us on the Chuck and Bo Show. we listened to Sankey and all the remarks and all the things said. And I saw some of Yorkman's comments, the Big 12's commissioner, and these commissioners they're just having all these narratives, and it dawned on me, we now have conferences that are competing with each other. And I know they've always sort of competed, but it's like everybody's sort of fighting for higher ground and how many teams they deserve in the playoff and all this. Here's my sort of broad question to you, Chris. Who needs to decide what's best in all the issues? Money, NIL, whatever, transfer portal. Who needs to decide? Who is the person? Or who is the committee or the governance? Who needs to decide what's best for college football?
Well, that's the problem. There is not. There's nobody that
Right.
doesn't have a dog in the fight. You nailed it. I mean, every time I hear Greg Sankey get up, it's like one of those stand-up interviews back when the pro wrestlers used to do it. He's always got some message or something he's trying to get out there. Now, Petiti, the Big Ten, doesn't talk as much publicly. But you're exactly right. Everyone that's sort of involved in these decisions has a dog in the fight. And I get it. I mean, if you're Petiti, you're looking out for the Big Ten. If you're Sankey, you're looking out for the SEC, the other conferences the same way. And it's almost to the point now that they meet to decide when they're going to meet again.
Right.
And I think everybody in and around the sport is frustrated. Fans are frustrated. Coaches are frustrated. ADs are frustrated. For Christ's sakes, make a decision.
It's interesting.
Make a decision.
It's interesting you say that because I talk to a lot of people, and when you bring this up now, they just turn away. They don't even want to hear it anymore because it's like a broken record over and over and over again. They don't understand it.
Yep.
Nobody's ever explained it to them in a way they can understand, and they see no solution. And so they just don't deal with it.
Bingo. Yeah, they're sick of it. Sounds like you've been talking to my dad. So I think he's over college football.
That's so true.
But you're right. I think that the large majority of the people I talk to say exactly what you just said to me, that slowly but surely, and they love the product. Listen, we're all football junkies. We love Saturday afternoons, right?
Sure.
I still get up on Saturday.
I'm
I can't
like a
wait.
kid.
But it's been so chaotic off the field, and you're right. We're hearing the same stuff, the same stories have been written, the same stories have been reported, and then they change the next week, and no one knows what the hell it's going to look like 2 years from now. And I think those types of things, and I think players coming and going, and let's throw coaches. You go back even to baseball with the deal with, Schwarzenegger leaving the day after the national championship game to go to their biggest rival. I think those types of things have turned the stomachs of a lot of people, but it's just the uncertainty and the unknown.
That's right.
And the back and the forth and the ping pong balls bouncing off the wall every other day that I think people have it's completely turned a lot of people off. It's been chaotic, and I don't know where it ends.
The other thing, Chris, that's maybe happened here, and we'll look at it from an Arkansas perspective, with the playoff, it's like if you're 6, 7, or an 8-win team, you're like, why do I even exist? What are we really playing for? And all Bo tells me is our recruiting base isn't big enough, and go look at the history of college football, and nobody's winning that doesn't have a great, 400-mile radius of recruiting around their campus. So what do we – and that's what I fear for fans is, like, are we creating this game where we have the people at the top, and I put the SEC in this category, of, well, we're the best league, we need the best team, the most teams in the playoff, and then, but to some extent, we've got to – like, I'm worried about college football if we don't have an environment that really does allow everyone to compete if – we're going to get into this more professional model.
Yeah, that apathy will set in with certain fan bases when you get to late October, November. I will say this: if the playoff were to go to 16 teams, which now with the two big leagues sort of at a standoff, and who knows if we'll stay at 12 or go at 16, because I don't think the Big Ten is going to budge. They're going to want the SEC, if certainly there's a 5-11 format, to play a ninth conference game. And listen, I talked to Kirby Smart a couple times yesterday away from his meeting with us, and there's no sense among coaches, any of them. Now, they don't make the decision, the chancellors do, but they don't want to go to 9 conference games unless there's assurances that the playoff format's going to be such that they're going to award the SEC for playing another game. But if there does come a time when we play 16 games, or there's a 16-team playoff, and let's say it is a 5 automatic qualifier and 11 true at-large teams, then I think you could make an argument in a lot of those years you could get 5 or 6 SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take Arkansas. Now, I know as we look in present day where Arkansas is, but it has been proven. Bobby proved there. You know, think about those teams Bobby had in 10 and 11. Those would have been – those teams would have been seeded in the top 5, 6. I mean, remember the year they played at LSU
Yes.
on the day after Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
They were number 2 that game, I think, in the BCS when they played at LSU. So that's within a decade, or almost a decade of now. So I think if you get to that type of format, that many teams are included, then all of a sudden you get down to teams 5, 6, 7, 8 that go into November with a legitimate chance. I mean, look at South Carolina last year. You know, look at Ole Miss last year. They probably get in that format. So I do think there are scenarios like that where, and Bo, you asked a great question, where those type teams go into November with something to play for, and probably more importantly, their fan bases.
Yeah. I know you got to get to interviews, man. Thanks for hopping
Thank
on
you,
with
Chris.
us. Great stuff as always. We'll do it again soon. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I always enjoy meeting with you guys. Take
Thanks,
care,
man.
okay?
Thanks, Chris. You too, man.
Oh,
Chris
bye.
Lowe, not only one of the best in the business, but a great guy.
I think he's the best right now covering college football.
He is. I've known him for 20 plus years, and I've just watched him. He's as trusted by people he covers in college, and he can get to like Saban. He'll just pick up hey man, is this like anything you're thinking about? And it's like you get the truth.
And Saban takes his call not because I knew his dad back in so-and-so. He takes his call because he respects what he does.
That's right.
I mean, it's professional respect.
Now, he does it in the right way.
Right.
There's some good stuff there. I want to come back to this.
I do, too,
About
'cause
the playoff expansion in Arkansas and, what are you playing for anymore?
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of Major League Baseball. And there are beautiful ballparks all over America that seat 40,000 people, and there's going to be about 12,000 in them tonight because their team has no chance. They didn't have a chance in the offseason. They didn't have a chance on opening day. They don't have an opening chance, or they don't have a chance now. And that's not good for the sport. And I do think we're headed toward that, at least for a while, in college football. And that's going to be a trick to get out of it because your fan base, Chris talked about it there, in our league – if you are in the upper half, you're going to have something that's going to be really important when you get to November. If you're not, I mean, I don't know.